Here is your polished YouTube documentary script, rewritten for emotional pacing, cinematic flow, and narrative tension, structured like a prestige mini-documentary rather than a biography read-through. Leonardo DiCaprio, the man who won everything and still wasn't free. 22 years, 5 nominations, 0 wins. For more than 2 decades, the most famous actor on the planet could not win a golden statue that newcomers carried home on their first try. Critics called him a genius. The box office called him a king. The Academy called someone else. And the world watched as rejection turned into a curse, then into a joke, then into a meme so powerful it nearly overshadowed his entire career. But this isn't really a story about an Oscar. It's about what happens when a boy from the poorest streets of Hollywood becomes the richest prisoner of his own fame. Because the Leonardo DiCaprio the world worships? That's just the character he's been playing for 50 years. The real story starts long before Titanic, long before Scorsese, long before frozen rivers and raw liver in the wilderness. It starts on cracked sidewalks in East Hollywood. The boy who promised his mother. In the 1970s and 80s, East Hollywood wasn't glamorous. It was drugs on the corners, sirens at night, broken apartments near Hollywood Boulevard and Western Avenue. Leonardo DiCaprio was raised there by his mother, Ermeline, a single parent who worked multiple jobs just to keep them afloat. 3 buses to auditions, walking when money ran short, waiting rooms filled with other desperate families chasing the same dream. Leo watched her sacrifice everything. And somewhere in that chaos, a child made a promise. I will get us out of here. That promise became fuel. Not ego, not fame, survival. By 12, he was auditioning relentlessly. Commercials, sitcoms, anything that paid. For years, casting directors wrote the same thing in their notes. Nothing special, but he didn't stop. Rejection wasn't failure. It was tuition, the first recognition, and the first snub. In 1993, at just 19 years old, Leonardo delivered a performance that stunned Hollywood. What's eating Gilbert Grape? He didn't act. He disappeared into the role. The Academy nominated him for Best Supporting Actor. He lost, but the message was clear. This kid was real. Then came Romeo and Juliet, and then Titanic. Overnight, he became the most famous man in the world. Titanic grossed over $2 billion. Won 11 Oscars. Leonardo DiCaprio, not nominated. The industry had turned him into a teen idol, and teen idols don't win serious awards. The prison had begun. The curse becomes a cultural phenomenon. He worked harder. Gangs of New York, The Aviator, The Departed, Inception, Django Unchained, The Wolf of Wall Street. Each performance sharper, riskier, braver. Each time, the nominations came. Each time, someone else walked on stage. By 2014, the internet had turned it into a sport. Memes flooded social media. Photoshops of Leo reaching for an Oscar forever out of reach. It stopped being about his work. It became about his failure to win. And for a man who built his life on proving he was worthy, that narrative cut deep. The Revenant, suffering for validation. In 2015, at 41 years old, Leonardo made a decision. If transformation wasn't enough, he would suffer. The Revenant wasn't just a film. It was endurance. He submerged himself in frozen rivers, slept inside a dead horse carcass, ate raw bison liver, shot in -40 degrees weather using only natural light. Crew members quit. The budget exploded. Production nearly collapsed. But Leo kept crawling, not just for the character, for the Oscar. When the envelope opened in 2016 and his name was finally called, the world erupted. 22 years, 5 nominations. Finally, he held the statue, and something strange happened. It felt smaller than he imagined. Relief, yes. Vindication, absolutely. But also exhaustion. Because when you spend half your life chasing validation, you don't know who you are without the chase. The other legacy, saving the planet while burning fuel. Long before the Oscar, he built something else. In 1998, at 24, he created the Leonardo DiCaprio Foundation. Over $100 million donated to environmental causes. Rainforests protected, Endangered species saved. UN speeches delivered. He became one of the loudest climate voices in Hollywood. But then came the contradictions. Private jets to climate summits. Yachts in the Mediterranean. Carbon footprints larger than small towns. Critics called him a hypocrite. He defended himself. Carbon offsets, green investments. But the tension remained. He wanted to save the world without surrendering the life that was destroying it. The pattern no one can ignore. Then there's the other narrative, the one the internet never lets die. Leonardo DiCaprio does not date women over 25. For decades, the pattern has remained eerily consistent. Each relationship begins in the early 20s. Each ends before, or just after, 25. The memes are brutal. The debates endless. Is it preference? Arrested development? A need to remain the older, powerful figure? He never addresses it directly, and the silence speaks louder than any denial. Because when a pattern becomes that predictable, it stops looking accidental. The cost of winning everything. Today, at 50 years old, Leonardo DiCaprio has an Oscar, a $300 million fortune, a legendary filmography, global influence, but no wife, no children, no personal legacy beyond the screen. His peers have families, generations to follow them. Leo has films, and films endure. But when the cameras turn off, what remains? Friends describe him as generous, loyal, private, but also guarded, difficult to reach, still carrying walls built decades ago. The boy who promised his mother he would escape poverty succeeded, but in doing so, he may have built a different kind of cage. The final question. Leonardo DiCaprio is not a villain. He is not a hero. He is something far more complicated. A man who won everything he was told mattered, and is still searching for something that doesn't come in gold. Fame gave him power. Talent gave him legacy. An Oscar gave him validation. But none of them guaranteed fulfillment. Maybe that's the real lesson. Success without connection is just decorated emptiness. And sometimes the things we chase hardest leave us loneliest when we finally catch them. What do you think? Is Leonardo DiCaprio a cautionary tale? A misunderstood perfectionist? Or simply a man navigating the cost of greatness? Let me know in the comments. And if you want more stories that go beyond the headlines and into the human truth behind fame, subscribe. Because sometimes the greatest performances are the ones people give every day pretending they're fine. And behind every legend, there's just a person